My mic was muted. I tell you what, you guys, if anything could have gone wrong in the last 7 minutes in the run-up to this flipping live, going live, I don't know what else could have gone wrong. We had bedlam in here, like literally in the last 7 minutes. I was fine. I was putting my makeup on. We've got an incredible guest. We're backstage. We're having a chat. Ivy has a meltdown. Wallace has a meltdown. They're all crying outside my door. What is going on? What is going on? I tell you something, we are going to have a look at moving the time of this, to 9:15. I know I'm late, Karen. I know. And I'm just saying to Mally backstage, I've not been late in a bloody 30 weeks. Oh, anyway, who's first past the post this morning? It's you, Karen. Good morning. Good morning to Joanne Smith. How are you? Good morning, Sassy Superstars. Let's have a look. Oh, it's the shit weather. Have a pop outside. Let's have a look. Oh, it's misty. I don't have any misty bees. I'm going to have to just settle for an it's a bit shit bee. Hang on a minute. There we go. That's what we're doing in Preston this morning. It's a bit overcast and it's a bit misty outside. Tell me. I know I'm breathing. That's what I'm coming here for, a bit of solace with you lot. Good morning, Carrie Davis. Good morning. If you are watching in the Hive or you're watching in a group, do us a favour and just check in with the title and allow StreamYard permission for us to see your beautiful names. Otherwise, it looks like you blocked me, and I know you haven't, because look, it says Facebook user. So if you are watching along, make sure you've given StreamYard permission for us to see who you are. Let us see. Good morning. Morning, Lorraine. Thank you for joining us. Ellen Ed is in the house. We've got Coylette Wilcott. Good morning. Good morning. Oh, it's blue and bright in Brum. Let's give you a little scorchio bee. Have a look outside the window. In lieu of any proper meteorological apparatus, you're just going to have to look outside and tell me what the weather's doing where you are, and we will furnish you accordingly with an appropriate bee on our weatherboard. For those of you that are new to the show, welcome to the show, Rise Up Show. It isn't always like this. It's not always. I'm not quite so harassed. When I begin the show, it has just all booted off, and in the spirit of turning up in authenticity, that is exactly what I'm owning up to. So I started the show at Rise Up Show right at the beginning of lockdown as a way to get myself out of bed in the morning, because there was a real risk that I was going to be staying in bed and lying in, and it would have got later, and it would have got later and later, and the whole house would have just been entirely nocturnal by the end of the whole thing. So in order to keep a little bit of structure in my life, we created the show for me to keep accountable to you guys, and it grew into this wonderment, into this wonderful little space in a morning in our answer to the mainstream media feeding us all the negative stuff. So we've had some incredible people on all the way through the lockdown and on the other side, whatever this sort of semi-limbo space is right now. What have we got going on with you guys? It's a bit cloudy in Southampton. We've got an It's a Bit Shit Bee for you there, Mr. Newton. You are more than welcome. There we go. Southampton in the house. Blue skies and sunshine. Sandy, of course, it's blue skies and sunshine where you are. She's over in Spain, repping our international bees underneath Compass just there. Let me know what the weather's doing where you are. Tell us. It's a very British thing to talk about. We've got to talk about the weather this morning. It is beautiful, sunny. Emma Gibson. We've got a scorchio bee for Emma Gibson on the northeast coast. There we are, repping the northeast. Oh, my goodness me. Deep, we've created something amazing. I love tuning in. You would not have loved tuning in the 3 minutes before I went live. That would have been horrific. We've still got Ivy. She's having a boot off downstairs. She's having a terrible time of it. Cloudy and damp in Hertfordshire. Very cloudy in London. Oh, God. It's a bit shit bees for the London area. Where are we? There we go. London, you are represented right there. Where have we got? We've got Kent in the house. We've got blue sunny skies in Bangor in Wales. These bees take up quite a lot of space, in fairness, so we can represent like quite large areas. Good morning, Becky Dillon. Your show's been a consistent thing for me throughout this crazy year. Same. I love waking up to your positivity, your fabulous guests. The news is just depressing, right? So in the spirit of bringing you fabulous guests, this morning is absolutely no exception. We have got a fabulous author coming to talk to us about all manner of important and awesome things. I haven't met her before. However, I do know her daughter. And I've hung out with her daughter and had incredible conversations and more incredible conversations to come. I didn't expect Maly to be witnessing the meltdown of my entire household upon first meeting people. This is how you get to meet me in my bedroom, in my house, in the middle of lockdown with everything popping off around me. So my apologies in the first instant, but please welcome to the show the fabulous Maly Sayle. Good morning.
Good morning. This is your happy aged moment.
Oh, stop it! This is definitely not the healthy aging moment. We have guests of all shapes, sizes, colours, ages, and everything in between. And you are so welcome this morning. I am thrilled.
Thank you so much for asking me.
I am thrilled to have you on the show. I came to stay with your daughter Emma a few weeks ago, and I was just leaving. She was telling me about your book, and I was absolutely fascinated, and I was just leaving, and she went, "Danny, wait!" And I'm just leaving to get in my car to drive back up north, and she passes me a copy, and I've been attached to it ever since. It's so funny and written with such warmth. It's called "Don't Bother to Dress Up" by Maly Sayle. Maly, tell us about the book. Tell us about the book. Give us a little bit of a rundown on what's in the book.
Well, it started 10 years ago when I was in my 50s. Mm-hmm. And I'd been married for 34 years. Same old. Along comes a Polish woman, off we goes. I didn't realise that the house wasn't actually mortgaged. It had been remortgaged. We had something like 9 credit cards and God knows what. Anyway, the long and short of it, I was homeless.
Right.
I ended up in Emma's spare bedroom. Uh-huh. Emma had started up a company called Killing Kittens. So you can imagine what was in the spare bedroom.
So for anybody that doesn't know, Killing Kittens is an adult party company. And it is all about female empowerment, and it's absolutely incredible. But you were in the spare room as she was starting that up, so there was lots of interesting things in that.
Interesting people coming through the door.
So that was an education in itself.
Ironing all the sheets, and I thought it was candle wax on the sheet, so I'm there with the brown paper saying, I've never known candle wax not to come off with brown paper. And she goes, sitting there reading a magazine, she goes, "It's not candle wax, Ma."
Oh, God.
So, yeah, I spent some time in Emma's spare room, but the only thing holding me together, apart from living with Emma and the support of my children, I've got 3, a boy and 2 girls, was my job. And I had the most fantastic job at the Royal Marsden Hospital. And it was just an amazing time. So I stayed with Emma for a bit, and then I heard that somebody wanted a house sitter, so that all went pear-shaped. But the very same month that I moved out of my house and into Emma, we realised that my mother had dementia.
Right.
And it was like God had said, "Right, Maly, time to test you."
Just while we're doing all this, we'll just do a whole Etch-a-Sketch of your life while we're at it, Maly. That's what we'll do.
Father had the most horrendous pain in his head one day going into London on the train, and he lost his speech. So I had one person that was seriously intelligent and great fun, but couldn't speak, so he was starting to get depressed. And then I had this bonkers person with dementia, and she didn't become the squidgy widgy dementia person. She became the witch from hell.
Yeah.
Is it things like I was my dad's bit on the side, but she'd say it to all sorts of people, and the worst, the most heartbreaking thing is that she went missing a lot. So I'm with Emma. I have no money. I'm trying to sort out a divorce. I've got my full-time job, and I'm bombing backwards and forwards to Bournemouth.
And there's this whole two things that are going on at the same time. Not only having to deal with the grief of your parents aging and the grief of what happens when it isn't just, for the most part, that, you know, thank you, sweetheart, that parents get old and they get a little bit infirm. It's, you know, dementia's vicious. And my dad's got an acquired brain injury, and we've had to witness him being in different homes whilst they try and find a good placement for him. And some of them have involved being in essentially an old people's home, a care home, and not a rehabilitation centre, which is what my dad needed. And you would have, I remember there was a lady called Irene that was there, and she had dementia, and like you said, it isn't just this kind of gradual retraction. It was almost like she became a force of nature. She'd previously been a nurse, and she was, you know, quite a well-respected nurse in the southern area, and she was suddenly found herself in the north, but she became like this angry force of nature within the care home. Like, she would throw things around, and she would be mortified if in her wellness that, you know, she'd been seen to behave like that. It's just such a change. So your parents are who form who you are. So when they completely change how you perceive them to be, that's one thing to tackle. But then being homeless and all of that underneath it, my God, you are an absolute warrior.
I have to say, I'm sounding it and then
no, not at all.
Once I found my freedom, for want of a better word, I haven't laughed so much in my life. Really. The things I saw, the things I did, the things I went to, and my mother made my sister and I laugh a lot. With some of the things she was coming out with. She ended up in her home, fantastic place in Kingston, and but locked in, obviously. But she'd escape. She'd go out with the workmen, chattering away, and they'd get rollicking. And they said, "Well, we thought she was a member of staff.
Thought she was fine."
And you know, just. But another time, a social worker came to help assess her before she was put in a home, and she was very, very, very large lady, lovely lady, but humongously large, and sat down, plonked herself on the sofa, and she wasn't the friendliest of people, with a pad and a pen. That's not how you really approach somebody with dementia. You have to be their friend.
Yeah.
And my mother just stood in front of her and said, "Shut your legs, you're frightening the cat." And that's the sort. She had no filter, and it was hilarious. Absolutely.
And that's it, isn't it? Like, even when there are dark times, and they are come up, like, it is that. It was an etch a sketch. You're like, got to come along and just gone, right, come on then, Mally, we'll just shake all this up while we're at it. But we've got to survive these things with humour sometimes. It's sometimes the only way that we get, when we pick up on the ridiculousness of some of the positions that we find ourselves in. I mean, especially if you're moving in with Emma, and Emma's just starting out killing kittens, and it's not, you know, it's not a ridiculous business, but if it's not been your life before, you must have been like, how have I ended up here? Here is interesting. How have I ended up here?
Well, when she first told us, she came to our house that we had, and just said, from this little box room that we called the study, this little box room, she called my husband and I in and said, "Come and look at this business I've set up." Well, I'm cooking, so he goes in, and I hear, "Oh, for Christ's sake!" So I go in, I look over his shoulder, and I think, nightclub. I
Yeah.
look, and I said, well, actually, that's quite nice. So, you stupid woman, bloody idiot, blah, blah. Anyway, so I was sort of supporting Emma, but from the sidelines. You know, she'd ring and say, where do we get mud for a mud party? Have you any contacts? And another time it was, we're launching our website, but we need a penis cake. Do you know anyone that makes a
Can
cute
sort you a penis cake out? Actually, there are quite a few people. It's funny. The more people that you know, now, the more people. I mean, this is like 15 years ago, isn't it? We have more language for this now, and lots of things have become much more mainstream, and lots of things have become, we're a little bit more relaxed to talk about some of these things, and go and experience some of these things. But like finding if you need a penis cake in the future, just as an FYI, there are loads of cake makers that hang out in this space. Like
the world to you all now is just an amazing place. You just type it in. Anytime anyone asks me a question I don't know the answer, I just type it in, and it's, you probably don't even say type, do you, anymore?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what else I would do. I would definitely type it in. You would Google it. Google has become a verb now. So you Google something. Okay. If Google is now a doing word as opposed to just a site that you visit.
Yes.
So we're really blessed with the people that watch this particular show, in that we are really varied in age. I would probably say the viewership is around sort of 30 to 65 as a sort of a demographic. So we're really quite but still, what I kind of wanted to say, and one of the things that you talk about in the book, and I know this is one of your experience, when you've had a marriage that's lasted quite a long time, lots of women now more than ever, now they are being empowered, now they are more savvy, now that it's not as frowned upon to leave a marriage that you may not be happy in, or you may have found out that something a bit untoward is going on, like they may have cheated or whatever, and you can leave that situation. Lots and lots and lots and more women now more than ever are finding themselves in a position later on in life where things have completely changed, just like they did for you, Maly. Entering into the dating scene when you are a little bit older, how have you found that? Because the prospect of, if me and Wallace were to separate now, the prospect of entering the dating scene for me, I just couldn't be asked. I can't think of anything I would less rather do than enter the dating scene now, because it is an absolute minefield.
Well, now it is, but then you only had so many choices. But could I just say from the get-go that I had been on my own for 3 years. I'm still house sitting for somebody. I'm paying off a lot of loans because apparently I was guarantor. So life is plodding along. Loved my job, loved my friends, loved my family, obviously. And then Emma walks in one night and says, "We've been talking, Ma, and we think it's time you got out there." I went, "No, there's no way." Anyway,
time to bring out your best bra, Mum. Come on.
She's I can't tell you. I needed the lawnmower. I needed everything for this. And it was terrifying, because you look at somebody's profile. Well, you all know this. You look at somebody's profile and you think, "Oh, he looks okay," but you don't know. He might be a mass murderer, and you're my age, and it's nerve-wracking. So again, Emma, Georgie, and Johnny, they would take turns when I said I was going to see someone. They would take turns in logging in 15 minutes down the line. If I didn't answer, then it's fine. If I picked up, "No, I've got to go. I'm so sorry."
Oh no, there's something going on. Flipping heck.
But it is terrifying because you have to get into the mindset that you're not looking for another husband. You
Yeah.
certainly don't want to replace the twat that you were married to.
It's there might be a husband-shaped hole, but actually that can be
That
filled with looking
girlfriend,
after yourself. Yeah, and
yeah,
friendships and experiences. That the hole that was that the husband has left actually doesn't even
doesn't need.
necessarily need to be filled
No.
by a man.
But what I like going on Sundays because I got fed. Take me out to dinner, but there was a standing joke where would I ever get to pudding because I walked out on some. And also, I'm 5 foot, almost 5'10".
Okay.
Don't tell me that you're 6'1" when you're 5'4". Not that height matters, but don't lie so I can make up my own mind. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, don't hide away from what you are. If you tell people what you are, then it's
Exactly.
that's who you're getting, and that's okay. It's this whole catfish thing. Like, guys do it too.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, especially around height.
Yeah, but we all sort of tweak our age. But seriously, I met some guy who was standing outside the Odeon in Leicester Square and it was raining. And I looked at him. I'd come straight from work, so I'm sort of smart. And saw him standing there in shorts, hiker boots, with a backpack on. And I thought, no,
It can't be him, that one.
And this boy went, Maly, I recognise you under your umbrella. Anyway, and he had a peak cap, walking cap thing on. So I've actually dragged him into this restaurant to get him off the streets. Sat down, he still had his hat on. He said, before we go any further, I think I should tell you that I'm not 62, I'm actually 82. And I just went, no shit, Sherlock. Honestly.
Go on, mate.
No, why did you lie? And he said, it puts people off. So I said, so you sitting there with that hat on doesn't put me off? And I said, and why have you come to London in shorts and boots? Because he likes photographing bridges and churches. So he thought he'd spend the day photographing bridges and churches and then meet me, which was very sweet, but don't lie. And then I said, I'm really sorry, I have to go. And he said, oh, I'll walk you to the bus stop. No.
Please don't do that. I am an independent woman. You probably feel like you need to walk him to the bus stop.
Well, you say, oh, well, this is terrific. The light's quite good. I might be able to get some more photographs in. Yay!
Fantastic. That's a win for everybody. You got out of there and he got his pictures and everything was fine.
But then, what is so awkward, I got an email the next morning saying, I think that went rather well. Would you like to come and see my house and stay for the weekend? I thought, he's 82. It's not going to work because it sounds really harsh, I'm caring in a way for my parents. I don't want to add somebody else to the list,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
he got quite fierce about it.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Oh God, in his shorts and his black cap.
Yeah, like the policeman I went out with who got angry and said, I think it went rather well. And he kept on and he kept emailing and kept sending me. And I said, your kiss reminds me of my Nana's flannel.
Oh, no.
Yeah. She used to go splosh on your face. This really soapy wet. And he said, and you're a dried up old bitch.
That's right. I would rather be that than all soggy. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I'd rather have flannel than you any day, sunshine.
Oh my goodness.
I'm not going to talk about any of the naughty bits.
No, don't talk about any of that. Well, you can do if you want. Like, we're here. Everyone's here with the podcast. Everyone's
well, there was this one guy.
Oh, Maly, I've got my brew. I'm ready.
Oh, this will make you spit your brew up. Anyway, long and short of it, I went to Spain with him. I I was meant to go for a week. It was over the New Year, and I knew that my 3 kids were stressing. What's Ma going to be doing? Should we invite her to this party? Should we do? And I needed them to get on with their lives.
Yeah,
so
I get that.
I agreed to go with this guy. And from the get-go, it was horrendous. At Heathrow, he asked for my passport so he could keep them together. And that was smacks of my ex-husband.
Yeah, I've had experience of that before.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll just get to the naughty bit now. He didn't drink because his ex-wife drank a lot. Well, help, Heath, it's New Year, for God's sake. I wasn't to order chicken because chicken is really bad for you. So there were all these sort of red flags coming up. And I thought, this isn't going to work. Well, not for a whole week. Anyway, we went to bed. As soon as we got to the hotel, I thought, I'm going to get this over with.
Just get it out of the way.
It might make me think differently.
Yeah, if you could do something right.
First of all, he screamed so loudly. I don't know how to put it without. Anyway, when he orgasmed, he screamed.
Right. Put it like that.
He was on top of me, that I had to shut the sound out from my ear. It was so painful. So I'm lying there, he's screaming. And anyway, it didn't last very long.
Oh, thank God.
And yeah, but horrendous scream. God knows what people in the other rooms thought. They could have come to my rescue. I might have been being stabbed. Anyway, he got out of bed, he went to the loo, and then he got a tissue and he stuck it on the end of his penis. And he walked around like that.
What? How long, right? Not that there's any excuse for this.
On his phone to his office with this thing.
Right, hang on a minute.
It was like his penis was waving a white flag.
Right, I don't want to be attached to this man anymore.
Yes, help me.
Get me off.
Anyway, needless to say, I went home the next morning.
You went home thank goodness you went home the next morning, Michael. Did he think that went well?
No, he called me everything under the sun. He drove me to the airport. I changed my ticket. But God help me, a few hours, I thought this is going to be heaven because I could shut myself in this house. Nobody knows I'm here. I can go for wonderful walks. I can go to galleries. I can do whatever I like. Nobody knows I'm here. Knock on the door. This bloody man, he only got an earlier plane himself that evening. And really, it was horrendous. He ended up, as I eventually got him to the front door and managed to shut it, you'll be back in a month's time begging me to take you back. And I thought,
I properly won't, my friend. Nobody wants to relive any of that kind of... I want to eat chicken, goddammit.
Yeah, exactly.
I certainly don't want to be screamed at whilst I've just had sex with
But then you have to try and imagine, which I've tried to sort of fit in with the book, is that
don't bother.
Everything that's going on in my life, I've got my mum on the phone going, Mally, where are you? Mally?
Yeah.
Or an email from my dad, who now could only communicate via email.
Yeah.
Help, mum mad. That's all it would say. Or help, mum missing. So you couldn't then pick the phone up to him because he couldn't speak.
Yeah.
So we just have to wait. And most people were wonderful. She had bits of paper in her coat or whatever with phone numbers on.
Right.
She'd wait for a phone call.
Yeah.
And she nearly got onto a liner at Southampton. It was going to New York. But the security guy spotted her in the queue in her slippers. And no luggage, and she was going to pay with her jar of sixpences, which is really sweet.
I mean, in fairness, I've been caught trying to do the same before.
Yeah. I've seen you up on that people to look at for list.
I've been known to go all over the country in my slippers, but so the book Don't Bother to Dress Up is is really lots of stories that are your experiences. They don't use your names and what have you, though.
No,
Is that right?
they don't,
Yeah.
because when I first showed it to a publisher, they said, personally, I would go down the fictional route because you'll have to get permission from various people.
A lot of
or,
which maybe won't provide that permission.
and there's one bit in there about a bullying boss,
Right.
with everything else nearly tipped me over the edge, but
Right.
we won't get gloomy about that.
No.
But and then Mum being very ill, and then Dad being. But I laughed my head off with my sister. My sister and I, we would use writing my book as an excuse to go away for a long weekend or a few days, and it would either be Airbnb or a really posh hotel, depending on how we were feeling and what our like. And I'd written all these different things, and my sister just set to with scissors, which nearly gave me a heart attack, and spread all the different bits on the floor, and we'd spend hours just saying, well, you put that there, and then you go into that, and then you put Mum there, and no, it was wonderful in the making, actually.
I think that's one of the joys. I think the hard bit about writing a book, I don't know if you'll agree with me, Mally, is trying to get everything out of your head. It's trying to kind of extract all the information. Once the information's out, it is like a treasure trail, isn't it? Just trying to pop it into the right order so it all feels congruent, so that it all feels like it makes sense, that you're not kind of jumping here, there, and everywhere. Because when you've got all of these things happening all at once, it's trying to get them to kind of fit together. But you've honestly, you've done it. I mean, and you'll know this, and surely from the reviews you'll know this. You've done it beautifully. It's such a good read, and everyone that's watching out there this morning that's had a giggle with us so far, it's like that. It is the tears and the laughter, and it is everything that you do experience as a human. It isn't just, even when you're going through it. And when I share my story of when I was homeless and experienced domestic abuse, there's still, can you believe it, humor and silliness and the utter ridiculousness of life that happens in the midst of it all, that if you don't celebrate, we would all go mad, we would all crack up. It wouldn't be. The whole experience is something to celebrate, even in the darker times. All paths have led you here, and all paths have led you to write this incredible book and this incredible family that you've got. Your kids are phenomenal, and I'm blessed to be friends with one of them, and like to know your grandchildren, and they're just like, you've just created this wonderful family around you as well. Look, the best Nana, hands down. I mean, my kids would argue with you about their Nana bust.
Oh no!
My kids go.
You think you know your children, and you think you know your parents until something happens. And especially with my children, I knew that all three of them were amazing, obviously, because I made them. And
of course.
But they really stepped up. Emma with her, here's some old trainers, here's an old bike, here's an iPad pod thingy. Plug
some
it
music
in.
To listen to.
Yeah, that thing. Get out on the bike. Don't feel sorry for yourself, otherwise you won't have my spare room. And then Georgie was very much the, have you eaten properly? Yes, I have to. What have you eaten? And, she'd be my feeder and ringing me. And Johnny would be the, have you ever tried a spliff, Ma?
Yes. Go on, Johnny.
Yeah, and
now's the time for life experience, Mum. Let's do this now.
You read what happened to me after my first. Needless to say, it was the first.
The first.
But it was also, I made the mistake of saying, on a really down moment, it'd be easier if I just stepped in front of a train, because none of you would have any of these worries anymore. So he decided to put himself on suicide watch, and he'd phone me in the morning and he'd go, this is your suicide watch representative. Are you in your office today, or are you travelling? I'm going to a meeting. How are you getting to this meeting? And
are there going to be any trams on the way to this meeting?
and he really made me feel stupid about that idea and selfish. So no, they carried me really, and they're all right. Don't even think about finding a man. Emma said, surround yourself with women. It's women you want now, Mal.
Yeah.
Just go for it.
Yeah, and I don't. When you do surround yourself with girlfriends at times like that, there's no other support like you. You drink a lot, agreed. But there are no holds barred on the conversation. There is no, like, just in this, like this morning, the majority of our listenership, the majority of people that watch this are female, although we are an inclusive brand. We are an inclusive show, but there is a support like no other especially when the shit hits the fan, when you're building yourself back up again, building yourself up with a group of friends around you. There's nothing else like it. It's phenomenal, isn't it?
Exactly. I mean, I had people that I only knew literally in passing in the hospital just coming up, and a nurse, I'll never forget her coming up and giving me a hug, saying, I've heard what's happened to you. There's a group of us going out for a drink tonight if you want to join us. I didn't even know her name at the time, but then I started to get palpitations because when I was married, I could not have done something like that. It's, where are you now? What time are you coming home?
Yeah.
You know, it was very sort of, well, whatever.
Yeah.
But the kindness of people. And I thought I'll go and see the chaplain and have a cup of coffee with him and just sort of offload. And I started to tell him what had happened. And he went, oh, for God's sake, are you going to turn into one of those bitter old women? And that, well, give me a week.
Get the cats. Come on. But one of my friends said, we don't know what happens at this point. Do the cats just arrive? Or do we have to go and choose the cats? Like, what happens at this point? We don't know. Like, no, you don't. You go out there and go and live.
Yeah, walk it off. Walk. Yeah.
So, for anybody who finds themselves in a situation where their life changes in a way that they may not have expected it, what advice would you have for them?
You can do it. And that sounds really silly, but I used to get up in the morning when I was still in this house where people were trailing through every day to look at it, big board outside, skip, everything. I'd look in the mirror and say, you can do this. All on my own, but I'd say it every morning. You can do this. Just keep going. And you'll get people that are so embarrassed you never see them again. Yeah. You'll get the odd friend who actually said, I would invite you to dinner, but it would be an odd number. Well, fuck you.
Fuck off.
Pardon me.
No, don't. I'm not going to pardon you. I'm not pardoning. Bring that F-bomb in here.
And people that you knew weren't inviting you because now you're single. You're obviously looking for a man, so you're going to steal their husband. You know, be your own person. Be your own person. You can survive, and surround yourself with your friends and your family, and just go forth without money or anything. Give a shit.
Yeah, this is it. If you go forward, I'm gonna hold this up together. I want to take. Where's my phone? Oh, where's my bloody phone? Right, we're gonna hold this up together. We're gonna take a photo and we'll post it across everywhere. For all of you that are watching, I know you've all enjoyed this morning, as have I. Where are we? We're there. Are you ready, Mally? Give us a smile.
No, it's too.
I know I'm hiding. I got us. We look beautiful. For those of you that have been watching along this morning, and I know you've had an absolute scream with me, just as I've enjoyed every single second of speaking to Mally, get hold of your copy of this. I cannot recommend it highly enough. If you've enjoyed the stories this morning, you will enjoy every single page and every single word that is in this book. Don't bother to dress up. Buy the incredible Maly Sayle. Maly, thank you for joining me this morning.
That's so kind of you. I've had so much fun. I'm going back to bed now. I'm not.
You go and get tucked up in bed. I'm gonna carry on. Like I've got a feeling that everything's quieting down downstairs now. So I'm hoping they're all sitting down with a cup of tea and they're all getting on again now.
In here now, though, you see.
You get to hand them back.
Yeah. Lovely to see you.
Lovely to see you too. Thank you for joining me, and I'll speak to you soon. Please do stay in touch with the show. We'd love to have you back on for some more incredible stories because you're phenomenal.
Thank you. Lots of love.
Bye-bye. That was Maly Sayle, everybody. What a show this morning. Honestly, from starting out a complete disarray to just having such a force of nature join us. Please do go and get your copy of this. It's available on Amazon by Matador Fiction. This is Maly Sayle. Don't bother to dress up. I've no else to say. I'm just made up. What a good show. You know, sometimes you get served up with experiences that are designed by the universe to lift you up. I feel like we've had that experience this morning. And in the words of Maly, if you are going through a little bit of change right now and you are going through a little bit of an etch-a-sketch with regards to your life or your business or this COVID shitty situation, you can absolutely do it. Look for that positive confirmation bias instead of the negative things that you potentially might be telling yourself. What an incredible, incredible woman. What an incredible book. Go and buy it, please, right now. Pull the poppies already in the Amazon basket. That's what we like to see. Read it and also go and give it a review as well. Go and tell the world once you have read it. I'm going to do that very thing this morning about the experience of reading this incredible book. Don't bother to dress up. Thank you for joining us this morning, Facebook and Instagram and whoever else, wherever you've joined us from, YouTube and all over the world. Leslie's saying, I'm 65 and going through some of this. She's inspired me. She's incredible. Love her. Yeah, same as well. Hats off to you, Maly. That was so good. Just, yes, we need it. Casey, yes, you need to play this back. Go play this back. You will laugh. And you will, you will feel inspired. If you don't follow me already on the Instagram, do so here, the Queen Bee Danny, and indeed across the socials. And we carry on the conversation in the IATQB Hive, which is my free community. We are entering into day 2 of the Be Heard. So you want to be a speaker challenge. Day 1 was insane. It was brilliant. There's still time to take part. And also on Thursday night, 8 p.m. here, I'm going to be sharing with you a workshop on my top 10 tips for getting speaking about your business. So please do join us then. We are back in the morning, fresh-faced at 8 o'clock. Hopefully everyone will be a little bit calmer in this house. We will be joined by the glorious Jenny Barlin, talking about all things beauty and more. Thank you for joining me. This was the show Rise Up. I don't even know what kind of show it is anymore. This was the Show Up, Rise Up show with me, your host, Danny Wallace. I am the Queen Bee, but guess what? So are you too. See you in the morning, 8 o'clock. Love you lots.